Welcome to the True Fact News television station. Located on the edge of a tropical jungle and next to the rocky ocean shores, TFN indeed has an idyllic utopian location. So let's get started with today's program. Welcome to True Fact News, or as we call it here, TFN. My name is Teddy Roosevelt Chaplin, but my friends just call me TR.
And my name is Michael Peters, but my friends just call me MP.
We would like to welcome all of our viewers from throughout the planet Earth. Because it's Sunday night, we have a special format. Instead of limiting the incoming questions to the top news stories of the day, like we do Monday through Saturday, today is Open Questions Sunday, wherein we entertain questions of any topic that is of interest to you. So what's our first question today, MP?
First question for you, TR, is from a Miss Hollywood of Hollywood, California. She's an actress, and she says that the city of Hollywood was named after her great-grandmother, also known as Holly Wood. Holly also says that she is the close relative of the famous actress, Natalie Wood. Miss Wood asks, TR, you have an interesting mustache. Why are there white hairs growing below your nose, but dark brown hairs growing on the rest of your mustache?
I've been growing this mustache for years. I chose it out of respect for the 26th President of the United States, Progressive Republican Theodore Roosevelt. He was famous for being a great trust buster. He broke up dozens of greedy monopolies like oil, railroad, steel and cotton industries, and many big banks on Wall Street. Now, back to my mustache. The resurrected silent filmmaker and comedian Charlie Chaplin had been assigned by God to be my new guardian angel. Why? Because I socially talk too much.
I'll agree with that, TR.
I was too loquacious. So now I have both my Teddy Roosevelt mustache and a Charlie Chaplin mustache.
Double down.
That's two mustaches in one. A win-win situation. Also, my white Chaplin mustache is in the center. That's centrally intelligent, correct? Thanks be to God for my new guardian angel, Charlie Chaplin.
Live from Hollywood, it's Sunday night. Holly had a follow-up question for you, TR. Why did the sign on the hill spell Holy Wood?
It so happens that in the future, Hollywood becomes its own city, and the mayor notices that there's a lot of crime, and so he comes up with this idea. I think the reason could possibly be improved if the residents of the city were under a better spell. What better spell could there possibly be than the spell of holiness, of being holy? So he says, let's change the spelling on the sign on the hill to Holy Wood so people would be more holy. What do you think?
Did it work?
It really did, because in the first year, crime in Hollywood drops 50%. Out of a movie within a movie, because after my movie Hollywood wins Best Picture at the Academy Awards, that actually happens for real. After the sign is changed on the hill because of public demand, crime does go down precipitously after that new sign is put up. What's our next question, MP?
Well, we have Mr. John Kennedy from Langley, Virginia. He asks, I see that you are wearing a CIA hat. Are you a member of the CIA?
Of course I am. I am a member of the Celestial Improvement Association. What's our next question, MP?
Mr. Juan Godot of Caracas, Venezuela asks, those big white army trucks keep running over our patriotic demonstrators, causing great bodily harm.
That attempted coup that is underway right now in Venezuela, you may find some of the scenes on the ground disturbing. The clashes are extremely violent. This appears to show Venezuelan military vehicles plowing into a crowd of opposition protesters, knocking people over. And this happened shortly after opposition leader Juan Guaido called on his supporters, both citizens and members of the military, to turn out into the streets in an effort to oust the embattled President Nicolas Maduro. These are live pictures coming to us from Caracas.
What should we do about this?
Thank you. I've been waiting for it, Godot.
Haven't we all?
Well, first of all, tell your comrades to stop throwing rocks at those big white trucks. Those rocks just bounce off anyway. I've got an excellent suggestion. Instead of rocks, have your people throw fresh chicken eggs and aim for their windshields. If the drivers can't see where they're driving, they will be forced to stop dead in their tracks.
That's a good point.
And don't throw Molotov cocktails either. Gandhi, Martin Luther King, and Jesus Christ were all correct. Non-violent demonstrations are best. Right now, I'm working with Toys R Us to modify their toy that shoots ping pong balls to have it shoot fresh chicken eggs. This invention could easily tip the balance in power and cause the demonstrators to win.
In all seriousness, though, there is a huge crisis in Venezuela. Skyrocketing inflation has decimated the standard of living for the people. There's tremendous anger at the Maduro government for their economic mismanagement, but Guaido is not the leader the Venezuelan people need. He represents the elites of Venezuela and has put himself forward as an agent of U.S. imperialism. Venezuelan workers need a third option to resolve the crisis.
Well, compromise is always doable. What's our next question, MP?
Our next question is from Progressive Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren of Boston, Massachusetts. She asks, what do you think is the most important issue of the 2020 presidential campaign?
Good question. That's easy. It's definitely got to be health care. First of all, let's hear what Senator Bernie Sanders has to say about health care. Then I'll add some additional suggestions after.
We have a dysfunctional healthcare system in which 30 million Americans have no health insurance at all. Even more are underinsured with high deductibles and copayments. We pay by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. Our healthcare outcomes in terms of infant mortality, life expectancy, not particularly good. And for all of that, we end up spending twice as much per capita as any other major country on earth. So let me be as clear as I can be. The function of the current healthcare system is not to provide quality care to all in a cost-effective way. The function of the current system is to make billions of dollars in profits for the insurance companies and the drug companies. That is the function of the current system. And what I believe is that over a 4-year period, which is what my legislation is about, we're going to transform our healthcare system. So first year, we go from 65 years of age for eligibility to Medicare down to 55, and we cover all of the kids in the country. And by the way, despite what President Trump says, we expand benefits for senior citizens. Medicare is a very good program, but it doesn't cover dental care, it doesn't cover eyeglasses, and it doesn't cover hearing aids. And we do that. Bottom line is, I happen to believe from the bottom of my heart, and I believe this for my whole adult life, that health care is a human right, not a privilege. And the best way to go forward, in my view, is through a Medicare for all single-payer program.
Did you know that Jesus Christ performed 35 formal miracles during his 3-year ministry? 32 of those 35 miracles had to do with health care. Healing the sick, the lame to walk, the blind to see, and even the dead to rise. Jesus Christ also felt that preventative health care was important. Feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, sheltering the homeless, turning the other cheek, loving your enemies. All of these things help reduce stress and strengthen the immune system. They also prevent one from becoming sick in the first place. If Jesus Christ were walking the streets of America today, he would have helping the poor and the middle class his top priority again. I think that it is important to add that since the Progressive Democrat Franklin Delano Roosevelt became president in 1931, every bill in Congress that has primarily helped the poor and the middle class has come from the Democratic Party. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, Section 8 housing vouchers, and the GI Bill. Not one major bill to help the poor and the middle class has come from a Republican member of Congress in the past 90 years. I have challenged people for decades to come up with one such legislative bill, and nobody ever has, because there never has been one. In fact, members of the Republican Party have done everything they could to block and privatize all these social programs. They've always said that they are too socialistic. But we live in a country that is at least 50% socialism and 50% capitalism. Our police is socialism. Our school network is socialism. Our post office is socialism. Our interstate highway system is socialism. Our defense and military are socialism, and so is our library system. Just like we have 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 hands, 2 legs, we have 2 great and necessary economic systems, socialism and capitalism, both working together synergistically to make our country greater. But we need the Republican Party to do more than to just draw near to the poor and middle class with their lips when their hearts are far from them, and whose hearts are really with the rich, the millionaires, the billionaires, the giant corporations, and the top 1%. Remember what Jesus Christ said about the rich. It is more difficult for a rich man to get into heaven than it is for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. Therefore, may I echo what Jesus Christ would say if he were addressing a joint session of Congress today. Republicans, repent and help the poor and less fortunate among us. Republicans, ye hypocrites, repent! What's our next question, MP?
Our next question is from a Mr. Igor Tchaikovsky from Moscow, Russia. He asks, is the Trump-Russia investigation really a witch hunt, like Trump says it is?
My answer is that the Mueller investigation was a hunt for truth. But which truth? Which facts? Which lies? It could even more accurately be called a witch hunt.
Witch hunt? Which hunt is it?
According to all of our U.S. intelligence agencies, the Russians interfered in the 2016 election and helped Trump get elected. The Donald keeps throwing up smoke screens and red herrings to change the subject and misdirect the public. Mr. Trump is a con artist and should be impeached or voted out of office. And I agree, and so does Mitt Romney agree.
Donald Trump is a phony, a fraud. His promises are as worthless as a degree from Trump University.
What's our next question, TR?
Why did the teacher strikes of the past year and a half protest charter schools?
That's an excellent question. There's a few things going on with charter schools that public school teachers are upset about. The obvious problem with charter schools is that they expand the privatization of education. Charter schools are private enterprises that compete with public schools and the idea of education as a public good. Not only do charter schools compete with public schools, but they also receive public financing. Now what happens is charter opens up in, let's say, Los Angeles and reduces the enrollment in the local school. The reduced enrollment in the local public school means reduced funding for that public school. So in this way, charter schools are directly in competition with public schools and a threat to the viability of public schools. The other major problem with charter schools is that they undermine the unionization of public teachers. Unions protect workers on the job and also give them some control over the conditions of their work. In the case of public schools, teachers have a direct interest in the quality of education that students receive. That is why one of the main demands in the teacher strikes has been to reduce class size, which is beneficial to both students and teachers. Teachers organized and won unionization in the United States in the last quarter of the 20th century, and now they're under attack. Charter schools are opening up as non-unionized shops, and charter schools have been very resistant to union organizing. And this is why the teacher strikes have been protesting charter schools.
Well, that's very interesting. I can certainly see why they striked like they did and for as long as they did.
Tens of thousands of LA teachers didn't let the rain stop them from striking today. They hit the picket lines this morning in a fight over better pay and working conditions.
31,500. That's the number of teachers and union people who participated in the strike today, day one. You can get a feel for the size of this morning's march from the air as striking teachers and their supporters gathered at Grand Park across from City Hall. Then they were on the move, a rain-soaked stroll from City Hall to the Los Angeles Unified School District's headquarters on Beaudry Avenue, about a mile and a half away.
We would like to thank our viewing audience for submitting such interesting email questions from throughout the planet Earth.
Absolutely.
And be sure to watch our program here at True Fact News Monday through Saturday, when we will be answering questions pertaining to the hot topics of the day. And be sure to watch us next Sunday for another segment of Open Question Sundays. And goodbye for now.
Goodbye, folks.